I slept a grand total of 0 hours tonight. And worst of all, I didn't even want to talk about the story I spent consuming instead of catching some shut-eye because I thought it was some hyper-woke garbage. Hey, like I said, I did not catch any shut-eye today, and I thought this is the perfect situation to make a confession. To tell you that I am, seatbelts buckled, a big fucking philosophy nerd, big literature nerd, and I need to talk about it today. Okay, I'll not make it boring, I'll make it easy to digest even for your slow working brain, do not worry. But before we get into it though, you need to sleep. Don't take me as an example, I'm a terrible example. I already have stress pimples and look at those eye bags. Horrific. No comment about my appearance today. Pretty please. Anyways, in case you can't manage to read my tangled thoughts, I'll summarize the story for you in just a quick second. We are looking through the eyes of a girl just done studying. She could be finding a job, but her intelligence is just a bit too low, which I didn't make up. That's actually given in the story. Although her mother is raking in money, top 1% earners. So for now, she can just live on her mother's expense and it's pretty much fine. Although the job market isn't essentially going her way and she doesn't really have to spend any way of spending her day except for endless apathy and ennui, she does have a boyfriend, who, in turn, has a wife. Okay, that does sound a bit odd. The boyfriend doesn't want a job either. Her boyfriend, he wants to make his father spend all the money in the world. It's all on his expense. He doesn't really like his father, and he would rather just spend time with us, the good girlfriend, and not with his wife because she's just a bit too naggy for his taste, let's put it like that. Jesus, I sound like a misogynist, but trust me, it's seriously part of the story written by a woman before you come at me. The whole thing keeps going, just walking through the streets, endless dates, watching TV, going to sleep, and the cycle continues. Nothing grand so far, nothing I could find extremely hyper woke yet. But then, one day, an implant is released into your brain, where watching TV becomes hyper stimulating. Instead of just seeing these slow paced TV shows, you get seriously immersed, serious dopamine spikes from just looking at a screen. Does that sound familiar? No matter how great this implant sounds, she doesn't really want to get it. Because, no specific reason really, but it's an implant, it's a foreign thing, and we're not really clued into that. Until one day, she gets a call from her boyfriend. He has already gotten the implant, there is nothing as great as this implant. All of a sudden, the world is in color, and we gone. Apathy gone. Everything is just so immersive, and by everything, it's just the TV screen. Just the screen is so addicting all of a sudden. Emotion becomes so graspable and easy to access without even having to do anything really. No work, no nothing, just watching TV and you're endlessly happy. At this point, he wants to convince her to get the implant. She's watching TV, sad, depressed all day anyways, but she could be doing it happy, ecstatic, emotional. So why wouldn't you do that? Honestly, I can't fully remember if she got it in the end or not, because it's not that story relevant. I'm sorry to break the fourth wall here. But after the whole implant thing is cooling down, her boyfriend has a new idea. What if we kill my wife so she's gone, obstacle out of the way, and I could just be with you? I mean, I like you more anyways. Why wouldn't we just get rid of her? Also, I'm seeing those things all on TV all the time. Wouldn't it be an experience to just murder my wife? Just the feeling of really doing it in the real world, not just seeing it on the TV screen. At first, she's of course reasonably taken aback. No, we are not killing someone, that is not happening. But days go by, she is bored, and eventually dragged into his plan that is hatched up. They kill the wife, and the story concludes upon her feeling somewhat ecstatic, adrenaline rushing through her as they clean up the wife's blood. And now, the story is concluded. First thought of mine, you may have thought this as well, is, oh, another one of these smartphones are evil, TikTok is evil, oh my god, it makes us all into killers, it makes our kids stupid. But then, I look up the author's autobiography. She died 70 years ago. Which, newsflash if you didn't know, TikTok actually wasn't around in 1940. Hitler did not have TikTok. without being too nerdy, getting too deeply into it. Of course, there's a huge part of alienation in the story. A lot of TV, a lot of technology, not a lot of society, not a lot of other people outside of the couple themselves. They're alienated from society effectively. They do not really intake society as most of us probably do. And this escapism leads to a screwed set of morals, let's call it that. That's a term I can rock with. Oops. For once, I definitely saw a parallel to myself. Of course, I'm not a psychotic murderer who feels adrenaline through killing their girlfriend, who is non-existent. I don't have a girlfriend, okay? I'm single as a Pringle. But especially when I was back in school, I played PC all day and I watched anime, which, of course, watching one too many seasons of SAO is a different story than going out actually murdering someone or becoming obsessed with serial killers. And even now, I probably still practice a high level of escapism is what I thought about, since although I don't watch anime all day anymore, I still read a lot of philosophical works, a lot of classic literature, which is in a way this intellectual escapism where I think about all these abstract case scenarios instead of thinking about really important base level things in life. And I can't really say if I don't care about them, if I just hole myself up in this other world for the wrong reasons, or if it's truly my interest and that's just what I'm interested in, you know? It's sometimes lines blur. Enough about myself though, and which parallels I possibly see. Maybe you see them too, that's why I originally said it, because maybe you can relate to some of those as well. But the real thing I thought about is these murders, of course, didn't take place back then. But now, we all remember those girls killing over Slender Man. Or recently, I do watch the Rotten Mango podcast. There was an episode about teenagers getting obsessed with Richard Ramirez killing their classmate. Those are very similar to the book in question, and I don't know, maybe it's obvious that those things are bound to happen with technology advancing and everything, but it still does develop an eerie feeling in me knowing that someone back then thought about these things and they didn't happen for dozens of years, decades. And now it's something that is actually happening, and these killings of 12, 10-year-olds killing their mates through some like social media or whatever agenda happen more frequently, which is not just me saying that as someone who listens to like scary stories on the internet all of a sudden, but also my grandma recently talking about the topic, who is obviously not scrolling TikTok all day. Please, an 80-year-old woman doesn't even know what TikTok is, probably. So yeah, there's no real conclusion here. I just wanted to share the thought because it was a bit of scary, eerie, chill running down my spine. Oh my god. These things were kind of predicted so long ago. This story was written so long ago, and now it is the present we're living in. And why the hell do I sound so excited about that? Okay, I don't mean to be happy about teenage killings, trust me. I'm not ecstatic about that. As hard as it is to believe, I don't like teenagers being killed for fun, okay? Last thing before I wrap the video up, I really like these media books, all of that, to consume in my free time. So I'm thinking, if you care to talk about them, I'd be so down to share more about that. More just talking about all these theoretical ideas, which I'll always say, this is my interpretation of what I'm consuming. If you want your own opinion, I would always suggest you read the source material yourself, okay? That being said, if you are interested in these like somewhat educational contents, educational enough to make you act like a pseudo-intellectual to your friends at least, tell me. I'd be so happy to continue going in that direction. Of course, still making personal videos and rants as well. Okay, let me not stretch this video out a million years. I don't want to sit here editing all day, so take care of yourself. Guys, it hurts to say, but my lack of sleep is showing. I read the birthday as the death date, which the 70 and 60 years ago doesn't make sense. Timestamps are messed up in this video, but the video in itself still makes fucking sense, okay? It all makes sense. Just instead of like 70 years ago, the book was approximately written like 50-ish years ago, maybe 55 to 60. I'm not entirely sure. Still makes sense. Don't come for me. It's just the I'm going to bed.